Five. So here's the set of topics that are typically covered in an operations management class. Operations management, I call it sort of the quantitative side of management. It is where you use quantitative tools for the purpose of making decisions. So, everything that, pretty much everything that we will be going over in this class will be quantitative models or methods for making, that will help us in make decisions. Decisions whether they relate to your business, whether they relate to your maybe personal decisions that you have to make, like if you're buying a car, what kind of car you're going to buy, and if you buy the car, the next question that you have is, should you buy an extended warranty? For how long, for how much? These are questions or decisions that you need to answer, you need to make, and before you make a decision, obviously you would want to collect data, or at least have some information related to the decision that you have to make, right? So, in the decision making, we try, what is this? What's happening here? It's changing colors. You need to collect information that will allow you to make, to optimize the results of your decision. So question is, what kind of information are you going to collect? What kind of information do you have? What is a good information? Okay, well, you would want information that is relevant to, First time I've used this board here. There you go. Information that's relevant. What else, Edward? Okay, camera one. So anybody else who would want to come up with, another characteristic? I'm sorry? Consistent. Consistent? Okay, we can do that. Consistent. So that it can be applied to maybe similar situations. Reliable. I already said that. Reliable. Oh, relevant. Okay. Relevant. Let me complete this. Relevant, reliable, accurate. Okay. In fact, we would want to be able to obtain information that really will allow us to optimize the result of your the choices that you make. So in this class, we're going to talk about models, equations, quantitative means of evaluating relevant information or reliable information so that we can make choices. Choices relating to maybe when you develop your business plan. There are many things that you need to consider, like capacity. How big should this business be? Let's say that you are trying to build a restaurant. Questions relating to location. Where should you locate a restaurant? What are the important factors that you will consider important in terms of locating, where this restaurant should be? Okay? Capacity is another one. How big should this restaurant be? How many seats? How many tables? Okay, so because of once you determine the capacity, then it will affect your choices in terms of maybe employees, number of employees, number of waitresses, number of managers, how big the kitchen should be. Okay, so those are things that you decide when you develop your business plan. So operations management, among the different core courses that you take in business, perhaps has the most amount of skills, if you will, or concepts that will help you develop your business plan. Because many of the topics that we will cover in this class will relate directly to your business plan, starting with forecasting. When you develop a business, you have to come up with a forecast. Forecast of the demand for the product you're planning to sell or the service that you're planning to offer. And out of that forecast, maybe you can develop a short-term or long-term forecast. Then you can answer a variety of questions relating to capacity, process selection, raw materials purchasing, human resource planning, maybe financing. Okay, you'll see that forecasting is really the forecasting is at the center of any kind of business. So out of your forecasting, you develop your financial planning, system design, how you manage, how you do things, scheduling of your resources. When I talk about resources, it could be machines, tools, equipment, or resources also include human resources. Process selection. Are you going to implement a very automated process or a labor-intensive process? Location and capacity planning. We talked about this earlier. Restaurants should be located. What are the major factors that you would consider in locating or finding a location for a restaurant? I'm sorry? Demographic, yeah. One, what? Rent? Okay, is that usually a major consideration? Maybe restaurants might not be a good example. How about a drive-through coffee shop? Okay, competitors. So also you consider whether look at a competitor in your area of operation. For coffee shops, drive-through coffee shops, what's probably perhaps the most important factor? Yeah, in terms of finding a location, traffic. The traffic flow, the information relating to the volume of cars going through or going by, identified locations. So where do you get that information from? How do you obtain that kind of information? Survey. One is survey. You do an actual observation, stand at the corners and then do an actual count, or you can put an instrument across the road that will do the count for you. Okay, that's called primary data. You collect the data yourself, which is time-consuming and expensive. But oftentimes, you don't have to rely on surveys, but you... Yeah, secondary data is already out there. Somebody's already collected that for you. So you seek out agencies, government agencies that collect this type of data, like traffic reports, or maybe the Department of Transportation might have data on traffic flow. But if the data that you obtain from these agencies are outdated, maybe 5 years old or 10 years old, when things might have changed, then you can rely on more, actual survey, collector data yourself, right? So, we are going to make decisions relating to all these different functional areas in business, and the decision will be, we will rely on availability of this kind of information. What kind of information do we have as it relates to decision making? The type of information that you have will range from, on the one extreme end, no information. Let's say that you're dealing with a product or service that is fairly new, innovative. That, if you're trying to estimate, determine the demand, potential demand for this product or service, there's no secondary data that you can rely on. Okay? That's on the extreme end. The other extreme end is you have what is known as perfect information. If you have access to perfect information, you know exactly how many clients or customers are going to go to your restaurant on a daily basis, then planning for capacity and all those, other areas or decisions you have to make relative to the business will be much more easier. Somewhere in between would be, you have some information, maybe not enough, but some, and then better than some, you have significant or sufficient information. And the idea behind this, being able to collect, obviously we would want to obtain to reach number 4 so that you can optimize the result of your decisions. So let's see how we can relate this information to this example. Let's just say that here's the question. I mean, some of you may have already seen this before, but for those who have not yet seen this, here is, say that you are asked this question, or there's a bet. You bet $1. If you get the right answer, there's a payoff. How much would that payoff be? Well, I say every $1 you bet, you get $1 back if you win. Okay? Is that a good payoff? Why not? So you're making a decision now. Why not? Why is a one-to-one not a good payoff? Right. The key there is the risk. It's not worth the risk. The probability that you will get the correct answer, right? If the risk is 50-50 or 50% chance you will get the right answer, is a dollar bet, dollar payoff exchange reasonable? Well, if you play this game 100 times, in the end, you'll end up breaking even, close to breaking even. But if I said the chance of winning is 50%, you bet $1 and the payoff is $2, is that a good payoff for you? Yes, it is. So now here we're using this concept of, you have a decision to make. There's information that you are being provided, the payoff, and then the probability of winning. And you make the assessment and say that, yeah, it is to your advantage to play because the odds, although they are 50-50, the payoff is higher. So being able to assess probability is important. Now, what kind of information is available to you to answer this question? Or do you have any information? What? Oh, yeah, because you already have seen this. So Dorinda has perfect information because she's already seen this. But for those of you who have not yet seen this, is there information provided here in answering the age? No? Sure there is. Now the question is, how old is, or so the age of this person? Isn't the person an information here? Yeah. So, if you were to make a guess, the range of values that you will give, knowing that we're talking about a person, is somewhere between 0 and 75. Why are you cutting it at 75? Well, so you look at the highest, the oldest possible, the person that lived the longest on Earth, right? Not the average, but, the range of ages of persons, of people. So you can say, well, I am 100% certain that the age of this person behind this screen is somewhere between 0 and 130. Right? Am I correct? Will I be correct? Sure. But how good is that range? The answer that I've provided or you've provided me. Is it useful? No, not really. We want an estimate that is more useful, narrower. So, what do I need to make my range of estimate narrower? Ask some questions, collect more information. Okay? So I'm going to provide you with oh, by the way, as I show you this series of slides, I want you to do this. Write on a piece of paper your responses to the following. 1, when no information or very little info is provided, give me an estimate or give me an answer to the question, how old is this person? Okay, write it down. What? Why? It's a guess, exactly. So that's very little information. Next, I will give you some information, and then as soon as I provide this some information, give me an answer to number 2. All right, now here's another additional information I'm providing. You have some information. And answer this. Now, just give me one number and see how well you are. So, does the picture provide you with additional information? Yes, it does. I mean, in your experience, you've seen, if you're shown a person, maybe other than myself, you can pretty much say that this person is between the ages, such and such, 20 and 30. Or this person is probably somewhere between 30 and 40. You have your answer? All right. 3, I am going to give you additional information. More things to consider. We'll just call this significant info. Okay, first one is graduated from high school and grade in high school in a normal time. Is that information relevant? Useful? What? Well, I mean, can you use that? I'll give you some more series of information. All right, that's right. So it's useful, right? So if I've gone through grade school and high school in normal time, based on your, I'm at least 18, correct? So that information is useful. If I did not provide you with the picture, that by itself would be useful. Next. So spent 4 years in college. Again, normal time. Useful? Yeah.
4 years in college.
And then after college is another. There's a series of information here. Worked in research for 4 years. Is that information useful? Okay. Yeah, because they are continuous or contiguous time data. And then after that, completed MBA from University of Akron in 2 years. Useful? Again, it is. And then taught at the College of Business Administration of University of Akron for 1 year after receiving MBA. Again, is that useful? Yes. Moved to Oregon, taught at SOSC. Southern Oregon State College used to be, that is now, which is now SOU. And now been here for 24 years. Useful data or information? Yeah. Completed a PhD in management science during this period. So this is information really that is redundant, well, not really redundant, but does not provide any value to the question. So in the same manner, when you do your research for your business plan, you pick out data or information that would be pertinent to your project. Any extraneous information, useless information, don't collect. Okay, so that's number 3. Now that I have provided you with all these sort of timeline, write your answer. And finally, number 4, I'll give you what is known as a perfect information. Born in August 1961. Why is this called perfect information? You can tell exactly how old I am. So with this perfect information, do we need items 1 through 8? No. So write your answers here. Now, in decision making, you might have access to perfect information, but you still need to know how to use that perfect information. You may know that I was born in August 1961, but you may still get an incorrect answer. Maybe incorrect subtraction, right? So that's kind of the wrong use of a tool to analyze or evaluate perfect information. Okay, so let's look at, this is not, by the way, one way to introduce myself to the class, but also this is a way to illustrate this concept of how information is used in decision making. That the level of information that you have will affect the precision of your answers or the choices that you make. So I'm going to do this. I have only room for 19. In fact, we don't have to do all 19. As you will see this shortly. Let's start with you. What's your name? Edith. Edith. All right. Give me your answers to the 4 items, starting with, when no information was available. What was your guess? 40. Okay. And then when I gave you some information, the picture of me, what? 45. 45. Okay.
And then
53. And then? That's right. That's right. That's a good, that's good that you did it wrong, because there's a lesson to be learned here too, at least as far as I said, perfect information, you have it, but sometimes you still get the wrong answer because the incorrect application of tools.
43.
43.
55.
Okay.
43 and 51.
51. Okay. Next. 57. 48. Okay. 50. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay. 51. 60. 55. Okay. 51. All right. Are you seeing some pattern happening here, especially on the graph, which tracks the answers to the questions? When no information is available, look at the variation in the responses. It's ranging from 60, the highest, to 40. Now, why is it the first 5 I've collected so far, they're picking this, 40 to 60 range? Well, yeah, there's no information. Why is it that most of them are in that 40 to 60 range? Why is nobody, at least so far, has said 1-year-old or 120? Yeah, there you go. You are using this concept of average. We know that from our experience, most people are in a certain range. Okay? I'm sorry. Oh, that's true. So that kind might have, sort of a interpretation in your part that, this person is old. That's right. Maybe I should rephrase that later on. how old or young / young this person, or what is the age. Correct. Yeah, that's good, because the way you pose a question really affects how a person will respond. Especially this is true in surveys. Okay, so what's next? 30, 50, 53, 50. Okay. Next. 34, 48, 53, 50. Okay. Teresa? 50, 51, 50. All right. So what we're seeing here is, I mean, it started with 6. I think it started with 6. Did you notice that, the variation, especially 2, 3, and 4, have pretty much stayed at that range now? Okay. This has also something to do with, for those of you who took statistics, this concept of sampling. Or again, when it relates to collecting information, there is such a thing as there's, enough information that you have that you can use that information. Stop collecting data. Make your decision at that point, because every data that you collect from that point on will not yield any more, added value. So this is a graph that can be applied in many situations. So you can say, here's time. So, maybe this can be applied to when you study for an exam. There is such a thing as, enough is enough. Stop. Because every additional hour you spend, the improvement in your test score will probably be not enough that the cost that you are incurring for each additional point that you might get, the benefit, the cost is maybe greater than the benefit. In your econ classes, you learned this concept of marginal revenue versus marginal cost, right? When applied to work situations or production or maybe service, the question is, what is an optimum activity level for your business, or what is an optimum production level? If your marginal revenue is greater than your marginal cost, what would you do as it relates to the volume of production? Would you increase volume of production? Would you decrease, or would you stay? Edward says increase. Correct. Increase. All right? Because every additional unit that you produce generates more revenue than each unit cost. So there is a profit to be made. How about if the marginal revenue is less than your marginal cost? What do? If it costs more, so what would you do as far as your production level? You will decrease that, right? Or go this way. You're producing too many. Your cost per unit is higher than your revenue per unit. So what is the optimum level? Marginal revenue is equal to your marginal cost. So that is tied to this concept too of, when is enough, when is too much enough.